Hey guys, it's Jake Ellenbogen of Downtown Rams. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this re-release of the Downtown Rams podcast. I just want to give a brief overview before we dive into it. It's simply going to be a re-release of my previous interview way back in the day, even before we legitimately had a podcast. Blaine and I decided to do a podcast. It is me and Kyle Sloter in this episode. Again, just to give a brief overview, Kyle was a pre-draft prospect coming out of Northern Colorado. He was looking to get drafted. His stock was rising. I caught film of him right before, about a week before the draft. So I wanted to reach out to him. He was awesome. Instantly took my invitation on Twitter, and we got it going, and I thought we had a really good interview. It's, a couple funny things before you get into this. He mentions, I mentioned one of the things he looks like is Jimmy Garoppolo out of, I think, 4 quarterbacks I name. And he says, his time is coming, and it's just funny to look back on that 2 years ago. His time was coming, and now Jimmy Garoppolo, he's now a starter in the NFL. He just got paid, so it's funny to look at that. And actually, not 2 years ago, it was last year. Last year, you're gonna listen to this. The sound is not very good. The quality's kind of off. I tried to, fool around with it a little bit, but I was recording this on a call recorder app. How funny how things have evolved. It has gone from, these interviews for the website to now it's a full-blown podcast. And even furthermore, Kyle Sloter is somebody that has been on the podcast twice now. So, I'm going to look forward to having him on again soon. So he's the first of, I believe there's 5 or 6 re-releases. So hope you guys enjoy. And if you like what you hear, be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play Music. We're on iHeartRadio, Spotify. So that is for the Downtown Rams podcast. I'm not calling this an episode 123 of the podcast, since it's simply not an episode. It's a re-release of an interview. But nonetheless, hope you guys enjoy. Kyle Sloter, as of right now, plays for the Minnesota Vikings. So he has made it in this league. He's made the 53-man roster. He was on a 53-man roster last year that saw Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford, and Case Keenum, and yet still Minnesota kept him on that 53, kept 4 quarterbacks. So he is making his way around the league. He was the most impressive quarterback in preseason, so his time is coming. We talked about Garoppolo's. Well, his time is certainly coming. Listen to his incredible story on how he went from being a wide receiver at Southern Miss with Michael Thomas, who's on the Rams, to playing quarterback at an FCS school, and all of a sudden he's in the NFL, and he's looking pretty good. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone. I am here with the super sleeper of this NFL draft class, Northern Colorado quarterback Kyle Sloter. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. So, obviously, a lot of people are starting to hear your name after a recent Bleacher Report article came out on you. So I have to ask you, how has the pre-draft process gone up until this point?
Everything's been pretty good. Back in December, when I finished up my season, I was getting priority free agent draft grades and things like that. I wasn't really looking at getting drafted, just based off the season. I had a pretty good year, but playing at the FCS level and only having 1 year of experience didn't really, excite too many people. Then I had my pro day, and people got to see me in person. They saw a big body. I'm 6'5", 220, and I was recorded at throwing 58 miles an hour, so I feel like I have a pretty good arm and arm strength, and feel like I can make all the throws, and had a pretty good pro day, and started getting some calls after that. I talked to about I did my pro day first on March 7th, and then I went down to Colorado Boulder, where all 32 scouts would be at, and ended up going in front of them and talked to about 15 scouts afterwards, and ever since then things have been kind of looking up. I got a started getting 7th round to priority free agent grades, and recently in the last month or so I've been getting 6th to 7th round, and then in probably the last week or so I've heard 5th round. So things have progressed pretty nicely for me. I'm looking forward to next week and everything that is in store for me.
That is awesome, man. You have earned it. I gotta tell you, I just dipped into your film the other night, and I was blown away. You retweeted a tweet I had of yours, calling you possibly the next Carson Wentz of this draft. Don't want to put too much pressure on you, but you're a tremendous prospect, and I'm really happy to talk to you. Just have to ask you. Obviously, we're a Rams site. Have the Rams contacted you at all?
The Rams are actually one of 12 teams that I haven't heard from. So I've personally talked to about 20 teams. So I haven't heard from them yet. But what I have heard from some of my friends in the past, I played at USM, and I've got 4 or 5 friends in the NFL right now, and they say that they talked to a bunch of teams during the pre-draft process, but all 4 of them ended up actually being taken by a team that they'd never even heard from, or shown any interest in them up to the draft. So it's all kind of a guessing game at this point. So, I'm not really too worried about where I'm going to go. I'll be blessed to have any opportunity that comes my way, and I'm going to attack it and hopefully make a roster here in August. I think I have the ability. But no, I haven't heard from the Rams yet. Would love to hear from them. They're a great organization with a lot of history, so that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that'd be great. I had to ask. Obviously, I know they have Jared Goff, Sean Mannion, and Murray over there, but you're a talent, and Sean McVay, new head coach in LA. I could definitely see him taking a quarterback. I'd prefer to take somebody like you, mid to late rounds. I think you could do wonders in the NFL. You mentioned Southern Miss. That's where you started your journey.
Mm-hmm.
So you ended up transferring, obviously. What made you decide to go that route, and how was the process, if you could take me through it?
Yeah, well, it's kind of a longer story, and I won't get into all the details and everything, but when I was a redshirt freshman, we had a coaching change, and I was the starting quarterback for that coach in I guess that was 2013, spring of 2013, and then held the job through the entire spring. Coming into the summer, was a starter for him then. And then we get into fall camp, and I get back to school, and we have a graduate transfer from University of California, Alan Bridgeford. And, immediately going into camp, I wasn't given any quarterback reps, to fight for my position. They just immediately gave it to him. It is what it is. I was a freshman at that point, hadn't played in a game, and he'd had 4 years of experience. So, I kind of understand. Made the transition to wide receiver at Southern Mississippi, played that position for 3 years. While I was playing receiver, Nick Mullins kind of emerged as the starter. That first year, they benched the Cal kid and brought Mullins in. So with him being, in their mind, the starter, they weren't really looking for competition going into the next spring. So they left me at wide receiver, and I played probably 10 games or so, started about 3 at wide receiver for them. I got to play against some pretty cool opponents like Alabama and Mississippi State. Went up against Landon Collins a couple times, who's with the Giants now. But it was that was a pretty cool experience. Going into my junior season in spring ball, the coach brings me in for a meeting, and I was the bigger Y receiver in the slot, and they said that they were taking that position and making a tight end. So they were going to a 3 wide with a tight end. So that kind of left me out of the equation. I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and wanted to, find a place to get back to playing quarterback. So I sent out all my information to all 100-something FCS schools because I knew I wanted to be immediately eligible. I didn't want to sit out a year. and I got about 10 to 15 responses from teams, and kind of fell with Northern Colorado, fell in love with that. And I got there in fall camp or whatever, and battled for the quarterback spot. They gave me about 2 weeks to learn a whole new system, or they wanted to move me back to wide receiver just to kind of get me reps there, because they knew that they wanted me on the field somewhere. And the season was kind of fast approaching, with it only being 4 or 5 weeks away. So, and learning a whole new system in that short amount of time is kind of tough as a quarterback. So they gave me a year to, get my feet wet, understand it as a wide receiver, and gain a little bit more knowledge within the offense. And then the following year, they moved me back to quarterback to compete. And I had some academic stuff go on. A lot of my credits didn't transfer. It wasn't GPA related. It was just things didn't transfer over. And in order to be eligible as a senior, you have to have a certain amount of credits towards your degree. So I had to really focus on that, and I had to take classes in the springtime, which kept me away from the team. So I wasn't really able to compete for the starting job then. Then I found out I had to take an internship. So I had to go back to Atlanta, took an internship, was away for the whole summer, and then came back right as fall camp was starting. So I didn't really get a chance to build that chemistry as a quarterback, so I kind of fell behind in the quarterback race. Just from a chemistry standpoint, I felt like I had a pretty good grasp of the offense, but coaching staff felt comfortable with the other guy, and then he gets hurt in game 1 of the season, and it was my team the rest of the way. So
that is, wow, that is a huge story, man. Long road, I can tell.
Yeah, no, it has been, definitely.
Wow. I was, when you mentioned receiver, 2 things popped up in my mind. I had to ask you, did you end up playing with Mike Thomas, who's now with the Rams?
I did, yep. That's one of my good friends, actually.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
There you go. Good. Maybe you guys end up in LA together.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool.
And my second thing is not really a question, but all I can think of, receiver, quarterback, I was thinking of Ryan Tannehill. So,
Yeah.
Guys have made the transition. I have no doubt, watching film, that you can make the transition to the next level. I think you already have. It's just a matter of getting that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, who in the NFL would you compare your game to?
I get asked that question a lot. I don't know if I would really compare myself to anybody, really. I feel like I take bits and pieces of things that I like from different people's game. I'm not perfect by any means. I have things that I need to work on and things like that. I really like to watch Aaron Rodgers. He's one that I've tried to take a lot from. I love his wrist action, the way the ball comes off, his IQ for the game, his athleticism. But for me personally, I feel like I bring a unique perspective or ability to the game. I feel like I'm a very cerebral player, but I feel like I'm also very athletic at the same time and can make all the throws. So, I feel like I kind of fit into a mold of a dual threat quarterback, but at the same time, I feel like the dual threat quarterback kind of comes with a stigma of, not being quite as accomplished as a passer. And I feel like I kind of fit the mold of both. And like I said, I still have things to work on. I'm not perfect by any means. But I don't really know. I wouldn't consider myself strictly just a pocket passer because I can get out of the pocket and move the chains with my feet. But I do think that I'm a little bit better of a passer accuracy and arm strength wise than that stigma holds. Yeah,
man, absolutely. When watching your film, I saw 3 different quarterbacks, maybe even 4, if you could, confirm or deny these. I actually saw Carson Wentz in your game because, you're a big guy who has a cannon for an arm and who is also a dual threat quarterback. But, I'm glad you brought that up. Wentz really, with his passing ability, there's no fall off because he's a dual threat. And I think that's the same with you. I saw a little bit of Derek Carr in your game.
Yeah.
I saw a little bit of Tony Romo in your game, and I saw a little bit of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay.
So,
yeah. No, I've definitely watched 3 of those guys a good bit. I haven't watched Garoppolo too much just because he hasn't quite had the opportunities afforded to him that I think he's going to get in the future. I think he's a really good quarterback that his time's coming. But the other 3, I definitely can agree with that.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean by Garoppolo because he hasn't really gotten the chance, obviously. But watching him in the limited, opportunities he got with, on film, I think really pre-snap, what he does pre-snap and what you do pre-snap, I think are very similar. And I think it's a very underrated skill that, nowadays it's going down the tubes. Now you have quarterbacks looking over, their shoulder at every play. And I saw a lot of that out of you, and I wanted to commend you for that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Moving on, so we have your strengths. I want to know, what do you think you really need to improve on overall?
Well, I think from my tape, one of the things that I went into this offseason really trying to improve was my wrist action. And that's what I talk about with Aaron Rodgers, the way he's able to flick the ball and it just jumps off his wrist. I feel like I had the arm strength, but I lacked the wrist action and really having it jump off my wrist. I feel like I can make any throws, but it's really just getting – the only thing that really comes with is really just flicking your wrist and getting the torque. For whatever reason, NFL scouts like it. I think that that's something that I was told from them that I need to work on. I feel like I've really come a long ways in that this off season, and really perfecting that. And then the other thing that I think that everyone in this draft class is probably working on is just footwork in general. I'm one that I've spent a good number of snaps under center as well. So it's not third world to me. It's not, it kind of comes a little bit easier. So it's not something that I've really, really had to work at, but it's something that I'm perfecting because you want to make sure that your balance is on point because that's everything with throwing. You don't want to be falling off, getting back to the back of your drop and fading away from your throws, and then just really compacting. The third thing that I really worked on was compacting my step when I throw. I was taking a bigger step when I was stepping into my throw and just really making it a 6 to 8 inch step is what my quarterback coach and I have been working on. So you don't chew up as much of the pocket so you can throw with people in your face if need be.
Yeah, no, I hear you. With that, honestly, that's something I never hear with the wrist action. I honestly never hear that. So I learned something new.
Yeah, it's something that
I like what you said about Rodgers.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that I think a lot of quarterbacks can work on, and it's something when you watch someone throw as effortlessly as guys like Aaron Rodgers or another good example of that would probably be like Russell Wilson. It just jumps in your hand. That really comes from that torque and that wrist action. And not a lot of guys possess that ability. So I think that quarterbacks need to work on, and I think it's something that people look for at the next level is wrist talent. Well,
I mean, hey, you're working on it. It could definitely help you go a long way if that's what they're looking for. You mentioned the other quarterbacks in the class. I actually have you rated as in the top 5. I'm not going to lie. I've been watching everybody, and I like, Patrick Mahomes. I like Deshaun Kaiser, Joshua Dobbs, Chad Kelly on the field, and Brad Kaya. But I really feel like you belong in that top 5. I'm hoping you get some steam moving in the draft like it looks like you have been. Before I let you go, who is Kyle Sloter for those who don't know?
I think that I'm a hardworking guy, blue collar type guy. I've never been handed anything. I come every day ready to work, ready to get better. I'm never satisfied with where I'm at. I think that every piece of my game, there's something that can be perfected or critiqued to, be a little bit better. But I'm just a guy that's going to show up every day. I'm going to be accountable. And I feel like I possess all the physical attributes as well as the mental ones, and I don't come with problems on or off the field. I feel like that I've got the ability to excel at the next level, and hopefully someone's willing to give me that chance and willing to find out what I have.
Hey, absolutely, man. I'm really rooting for you. I really admire your game. I admire you as a person. I thank you for, coming on, sitting down, and talking with me. I wish you the best of luck, and let's stay in touch.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Oh, you're very welcome, Kyle. Take care, and good luck.
Yep, you have a good one.